Welcome back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I am continuing with Final Fantasy III for the PSP. So in my last episode, we finished up our side questing before coming over here to the ancient ruins. So we took on the sunken cave, got a few more items, got our party members up to level 42, and now we're going to progress forward and try to find the Invincible, which is the final airship, and the airship that opens up a significant amount of the world that we couldn't previously access. And that is because there were little mountains that were blocking our progress. And the Invincible allows you to go over those mountains. So we're going to head down into the ancient ruins. It's not a super long dungeon, but the last few floors can be a little tricky because, again, similar to the last episode, you're going to start facing enemies that can start splitting when you hit them with physical attacks. So these were actually a trap chest encounter in the sunken cave, and now we're facing numerous of them in just battle. So that's interesting, right? Continues the trend in Final Fantasy games of bosses or sub-bosses becoming random encounters later in the game. Although in this case, it was pretty quickly later. So we want to head to the south first. There's a few doors down here we want to access to get a few item chests. The Invincible is also helpful because it has quite a few amenities on it as well. So in this chest, we're going to pick up the Black Belt Gi. So you're going to notice that there's going to be a lot of equipment for the Monk or the Black Belt class. So it's kind of, I guess, trying to get you to use that class more often. I don't tend to use it super often, but it is there if you want to use it. You're also going to get the Chakra Band. And some of these can actually also be equipped by other classes that can't equip heavier armors. So for example, your Thief can equip some of this armor as well. So we're actually almost done with the treasures in this cave. We get a few more items, and then we'll progress down to the lower floors to take on the splitting enemies and find the Invincible. Ooh. We have a little dragon enemy here. Should be pretty easy to beat. But you're starting to see the palette swaps in full effect. Previous enemies are now random encounters, and they are just palette swaps. Classic JRPG favor. Alright, so we have one more chest here to pick up, and then we'll proceed downward. And that final chest is the Fairy Claws. So again, another new weapon for a physical attacker like the Monk or the Black Belts. They're actually weaker than the Metal Knuckles, but stronger than the Tiger Claws. And then if you're using a Geomancer, we do have some bells that you can use as well. I've never really found the Geomancer to be super useful. Now, in Final Fantasy V, I do like the Geomancer class. The terrain effects are much more helpful in that game compared to this game, in my opinion. And I've actually had a few of the 4-job fiestas that I've done over the last few years utilize the Geomancer class. And I've been able to appreciate them for what they can do in Final Fantasy V. So this is actually, I believe, a splitting enemy. So you want to beware. Physical attacks again that don't kill them will cause them to split. So try to kill them with a strong attack or with magic. And it certainly helps if Unai is going to throw out holy spells. It's going to be a little while before we have access to that spell. But we do have our higher level elemental spells, like Ice 3, Fire 3, and Lit 3. So we can still kill stuff off with those, assuming they're not immune to them. Alright, almost done. Couple more floors, and they're just winding paths. So we'll head to the south here. See if we can not get into a ton of random encounters. I believe it's one more floor of windiness. Unai is getting more of her steps in. Good thing she stretched beforehand when we woke her up. And some last of our newer enemies in this area. Now the enemy on the left there reminds me of the enemies from Morrowind. So the 6th house is led by some acolytes of Dagoth Ur, and they kind of look like that enemy on the left. We'll be getting to that eventually with my roleplay Morrowind series. We gotta do Daggerfall first with Marisar. And that should be coming up soon too. Alright, that's it for the Ancient Ruins. Let's head on up to the Invincible and check it out. You'll notice it is a massive airship. All sorts of stuff going on in this ship. So in addition to its innate ability, which allows you to go over some mountains, it actually has an inn, so you can sleep for free. It has a fat chocobo, so you can store items for free, and you don't need to use greens in order to access the chocobo. And then it also has shops. So it has an armor shop, a weapon shop, an item shop, and I think a magic shop as well. And then there are also 2 special Mughals that are going to be on the ship as well. So there's a Mognet Mughal that'll allow you to access letters. And then there's also a new Mughal that we haven't been able to get before, which allows you to see your progression through the game. So all this stuff is very useful. It makes the Invincible kind of your one-stop shop for everything. So that is certainly appreciated. The only downside to the Invincible is that the PSP version of this game does have pretty significant load times. And so to get on and off of the Invincible can take quite a bit of time. But now Unai is actually going to leave our party. She was only along to get us to the Invincible and kind of direct us where to go next. So she tells us we need to go after, of course, the Fang of Earth. And to access that, we're going to have to go through the Cave of Darkness. But before we do that, now that we have the Invincible, it's time for more side quests. So I hope you enjoyed the one plot-related dungeon that we got out of the way. Now we're going to go back to side questing again. So let's check out these new shops that we have access to. So again, level 7 magic, pretty useful. If you haven't picked it up previously, now you can grab those spells here. Got some new weapons, pretty powerful as well, including the Dark Knife, which I believe is the first katana that we've had access to, which is a special weapon for the Dark Knight class specifically. And then the armor shop is pretty similar to what we saw previously in the Ancient Ruins. So you can pick up some new armor here as well, or outfit any existing characters that may be missing a piece or two. Lastly, we have an item shop. So you can top off on items that you may need. I don't really use the Fat Chocobo very often, but he is there if you want. He's more a leftover relic, as I've talked about previously, from previous versions of the game where you had a limit on your inventory. So we're going to sleep, and then we're going to go over and check out the Mughals, because now that we've progressed through the Ancient Ruins and gotten the Invincible, we have a new letter that we can access. And this continues the Legendary Smith questline that we've been working on up to this point. So, we have a letter from Sid, and we have a letter from the 4 old men. So Sid tells us about something in his basement. Some monster has taken up residence in their basement, and it's scaring his wife. So he wants us to come and check it out. So we're going to have to head back to the floating continent to do that, and then take on a boss encounter. And what do the 4 old men have to say? Nothing. Let us know if you need our help. Oh yeah, you've been a ton of help in the past. The one thing you did for us was keep us from taking the fake Levigrass shoes. Which I guess was useful, but not necessarily super important. Now, there's actually a second letter here asking us to go out and make sure to exercise. Thanks. Should we get on Weight Watchers too? No, we're fine. We're taking care of our health. Other than, you know, attacking monsters that could brutally murder us at any time. And here is the Record Moogle. So you can finally look at your bestiary. You'll notice I'm almost up to 60% monster completion for my encounters. And then the achievements, which tell you a few different things about different aspects of the game. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let us continue onward. So let's activate the Invincible. I love how they always come from underwater. Now, at least we're indoors, right? Whereas in Final Fantasy VI, when we got the Blackjack, you came from underwater and it was an outdoor ship, so it's like you would have been deluged with all that water. So next we want to head to the floating continent to do another side quest related to what Sid sent us a letter about. So we are significantly far away with this ship from the ancient ruins. It's kind of weird where you come up compared to where the ruins are. I guess the ruins are very large underwater. So we want to head back to the village that Sid and his wife are in, which will be to the south. Well, it depends on where you enter the floating continent. We entered from the north. And then we want to park our ship, save, and we'll head on in and see what all the hubbub is about. So let's see what Sid has to say. It's been a while since we've been in Canaan. Long time ago. Many, many hours ago. When we came here to save Sid's wife with an elixir. And then also when we were looking for Desh. So as mentioned in the letter, Sid notes that there's a monster in the basement. He'd say, well, if it was up to me, I'd go down there and give it a bash with my trusty wrench. But he can't do it because he's too old. That will change a little bit in Final Fantasy IV. The Sid is a little bit more hands-on when it comes to enemies in that particular game. So yeah, we'll check it out for you, Sid, don't worry. Mainly because we want the item we get for beating it. So, you tell me if you can see the enemy when we head down here. I don't see an enemy. Where's an enemy? Oh, there it is. So this enemy is a palette swap of Gutsko. So the thief we dealt with much earlier in the game with the ice horns. Now we get to take on another version. And he's not too bad. He only has about 10 to 11,000 hit points. He does attack twice per turn and can hit you fairly hard. Again, around 500 to 600 damage per hit. But in general, especially at level 42, which we're at, we should be able to kill him pretty fast. So he's doing some damage, especially if he criticals. At least he criticaled on one of my party members in the back row. So did a little bit less damage. Let's see if we can beat him in one round. So we've done about, what, 8,000 damage? Let's see if Fire 3 can take him out. Yep. Good job. We didn't even get the little explosion effect. Or the boss music. So definitely a side quest. And he leaves behind something on the ground. What is that? Looks like a crystal. It's a type of metal. Could it be the metal we've been looking for? Now it says unknown metal, but I will spoil it. It is the orichalcum. You'll find that out by heading up and talking to Sid. So this again is a plot trigger for the Legendary Smith side quest. So you need to pick up the orichalcum, and then later in the game after we unlock Eureka, this will allow the Legendary Smith to show up in a town that we're going to progress to very soon. Give her the orichalcum, and she will fashion the Ultima weapon. But we still have quite a bit of time to go yet, and a lot to do before we get to that point. So Sid's like, yeah, it's orichalcum. That's very rare. Only one piece in existence in this game. And he's like, Taka doesn't know what to do with it. Well, fortunately, we've already met the Legendary Smith, so we know what to do with it. But that's it. No other rewards for taking out that enemy. Now that said, it's a pretty powerful reward, so we're thankful. And in the next episode, we're going to continue on with our side questing, and we're going to start grabbing a few more summons. So as always, viewers, thank you for the continued support, and I will see you all in my next episode. So long. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and leave a comment below. Please also subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell. See you next time.